Keeping our beloved backyard birds safe is something that we all want to do, and there are some important things we can do to make a difference. So in this video, we'll talk about some of those key steps that are tangible that really do have an impact, especially when it comes to food, water, and nesting boxes. We love to keep our backyard birds well fed, and the primary source for that is the bird feeder. Now, how important is this feeder for the birds? Well, not much. Now, they do enjoy the endless buffet of the food that we provide, but it's really more entertainment for us than it is help to the birds. The truth is, their primary food source is the garden. Now, that said, we're not giving up our feeders anytime soon, and because of that, we need to do a few things to keep those birds safe while we keep them fed. First, bird strikes against windows are a major cause of death. It's a very confusing visual for birds, and they often interpret windows as a continuation of unobstructed space. So, in order to reduce those high-speed strikes, mount or hang your feeder either within 2 feet of your house or greater than 30 feet away. It's also important to clean your feeders regularly so you don't transmit disease from bird to bird that they can pick up from the feeder. Now, while it may sound romantic to add a bird or nesting box to your location, there are some important things that you need to consider first. Otherwise, you might set those birds up for disaster. For example, how far apart do you space them? What's the size of the box? And even what material do you use? For example, you don't want to put the box up against a tree because then you make it easy for predators to get to them, like snakes and raccoons and others. Even the material that you use, if it's a dark color or it's made out of metal, well, that can become too hot for your baby birds. So the first thing you need to do, decide the type of bird that you want to attract, and then do your homework and go from there. Now, we all know that water is an important resource, especially if you want to attract wildlife to your backyard. And for birds, it's the most important thing, and they need it 365 days a year. Now, having access to water in an urban setting especially is not always that easy, but you don't need a big fancy pond or anything like that to attract the birds, because you can even use an open container or a lid and just fill it with water. Perhaps put a rock in the middle where they can land and then drink the water and then bathe around it. And when it gets dirty, of course you want to make it clean and make sure that you scrub it out. Now, if you live in an area where the water happens to freeze, you've got to have access to that water. But it's a simple fix, and it's a de-icer. Now, you can buy those online or at a bird store for not a lot of money, and you can get one that's appropriately sized for the area that you're trying to de-ice. But if you want birds to come, you need to make that area available for them every day of the year, and a de-icer is a good answer for that. And the biggest step we can take to keeping backyard birds safe is to minimize the potential of cats being able to get to the birds. Cats are the leading cause of bird death in our human environment. Even conservative estimates put bird deaths from cats at over 1 billion each year. While it is a controversial subject, keeping your cats inside is the only good way to protect your backyard birds from them. For more helpful information to keep our backyard birds safe, there are a lot of great online resources for that, including the Cornell School of Ornithology, Audubon Society, and the National Wildlife Federation, and more. Happy birding!